This is Anything at All. I'm your host, Zach, and today we got a special topic that may or most likely will get us in trouble by our wives, but that's okay because we are risk takers, and life's too short to not take risks. Today I'm joined by Isaac, the one and only, once again. Thank you for coming by. Glad to have you.
Me.
Yeah, glad to have you in the studio instead of over the phone. So we were talking with our wives really quick before we went on the air, and they gave us a good. Actually, I kind of thought of it. I was thinking, as we were trying to get the girls to tell us some good topics to talk about. And if you have anything you want us to talk about, like we said, subscribe to our YouTube at anythingatall_podcast. Links in the description on Twitch. Or follow us on Twitch if you want. Tell us, give us some pointers or topic ideas. We would love to hear from you. Anyway, we were thinking of some topic ideas, and I had the idea. I'm like, why don't we just talk about the moments you know as a husband that you are in trouble, or you know the looks you can get just from your wife, or the situations you'll put yourself in as a husband where you know this is not gonna end well, but you know what? Like I said, life's too short. You got to take chances. You got to roll the dice. So that's tonight's topic we're going to be talking about is husbands, you know you're in trouble when. Boom. So Isaac, you've been married how long now?
We're pushing on, it'll be 4 years this November.
4 years. Nice. Congratulations. That's like 40 years in today's world.
4 years, 2 kids later.
Now, I'm sure we can all relate to, once again, our wives have it down to the day of when you're married. I can, first of all, it came to me just right now. The moment I got in trouble was when we were asked, how long have you guys been married? And I didn't know the exact year. Granted, we've only been married. See, I'm nervous saying it now. We've only been married 2 years. We got married in 2017. January. Oh, see, that's where I messed up. Married June 31st, 2017. But yeah, I got the date wrong, and that was the moment I knew I was in trouble. It wasn't a conversation we had right then. It was a later thing of how could you get that wrong?
The car ride home?
That car ride homes. There we go, Isaac. Car ride home incidences.
The silent car ride home.
Yeah.
And
Do you have any that come to your mind?
And then the explosive conversation right before you go to bed.
Why do we have to wait? We know it's going to happen. And we know that the conversation isn't going to happen until you're right in bed, lights are off. And then you know it's going to be a 2-hour talk in bed about something that could have been squashed in 20 minutes on the car ride home. Why is it that we, our wonderful wives, have to wait till that last moment?
I don't know. I guess it's a tactic of theirs or whatever. But, it's I think it's quite funny how you learn different things where in the situation you might not think to, oh crap, I should not do this or not say this. Mm-hmm. It's, you do it. But as soon as it happens, you look over at your wife and you're like, oh crap, I realized what I just did. Yep. And so, all she's got to do is give you the look, and then oh shoot, okay, this is going to take some time to work through.
The rest of the night is shot.
We're definitely in a recession now.
Things are not. And now I've just jumped back down in the rankings.
Things are not looking up now.
And we are simple-minded men, and we mean good intentions. And I've done things where I've thought I was in the right mind to do that, and I had good intentions for it. And then I look over, I'm like, oh, she saw right through that, or she didn't buy it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what's going on? And then you start thinking, was it in that moment that I did something wrong, or was it everything leading up to it that I was oblivious to? And then they know they got you right where they want you, and you'll say, "What's wrong? What's wrong? Tell me, what's wrong?" And nothing. nothing. And we all know nothing means something. We all know, we can see right through that. And so now we start thinking, okay, what do we do now? Do we apologize now? Even though we know, like, we're not 100% sure what we should be sorry for.
You start overcompensating.
Overcompensating it, and then it's like, well, man, like, it's already 8 o'clock, and I know the truth's not going to come out until, like, 9:30, 10 o'clock, and, you know, maybe you got work in the morning. It's like, and if you've been married or you've been dating a long time, you'll know, everything's going to be good after the conversation happens. And if you can get through the conversation, most likely everything's roses after that. But it's, getting into that conversation. It's just like us guys, we're simple. Let's get through it, hash it out.
So what's one of your stories?
I don't have any, Isaac. I mean, there's been, I don't know. I mean, there's been times where it's gone good, and then all of a sudden I'll say one thing jokingly, and then it's like you're this slow, you're looking and you're smiling, like that was fun. Oh, whoops. So, and then now you know the day, everything that led up to that day is shot. You may have had a good morning, you may have had a good lunch. That doesn't matter. What matters is where you screwed up because you said that, or the way you said, you may have complimented a commercial. Man, that was a really good commercial. But because, like, in the background there was an extra that was a female, they're looking at that like, oh yeah, it's because of her, huh? And it's like, really? No, it was a about football or something. It doesn't matter. Now you got to dig out your way out of that hole. Right? You relate to that? I think another one is nothing against my wife, love my wife. The expectations of giving a time frame. So, for example, I like to golf. I would say I'm getting better at golfing. But we all know, those that play golf is it's a time-consuming sport, and it's hard to give a time frame, unlike football or baseball. Actually, you take that back. Baseball can be unpredictable too. But with golf, depending on how, it might be better if you're on your own. You can kind of gauge your game. But with golf, you don't know how many people are playing in front of you. You don't know how well the person you're playing with is, if you need to take your time, and weather, and all these other things. So I always get asked, when do you think you'll be back? And that question, when do you think you'll be back? Have you had that question before?
Every day. So, being in the line of work that I do, I don't necessarily know if I'm going to be able to leave when I usually intend on leaving.
Right.
So, I typically try and leave work by 4:30 at the latest. But, sometimes things dictate 5. I've been there till 6, sometimes 7 o'clock, And so, excuse me, you don't know. And so when you start getting the text, are you off yet?
You already know you've lost at that point.
Because you had already set things up.
Yeah.
I should be able to get off before 4 and 4:30.
And most, if you're like me, you make the mistake. You give the time frame. I'll be done playing in 2.5 hours. Even though deep down, I can't just say I'll be there when I'll be home when I'll be there.
Yeah,
that's then you're in trouble if you say that. But if
it's all about keeping the communication going and being honest. And
right. But so if you were to say, like you said, 4:30 is expected, but when things happen, and then you get the text, "Where are you?" What do you say?
Well, it comes in two different strides. If it's right out of the blue, then, if you have a reputation for, there's a legitimate reason why you're not going to meet the expected time, and you're honest about it, then there's more understanding. But if it's all over the place, that's the thing I discovered is not being all over the place. Was,
right.
being realistic and saying, hey, if I'm typically, if I go in late, that means I'm going to work late. Or,
right.
If I go in early, that means I might get off early. But I don't know.
Right.
I'll let you know if things change.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So, communication. Communication is key. If you're married or recently married, you got to find out. You'll learn soon enough. Communication is everything. So that's one of the things you messed up when you give a deadline. Because we're not a superhero here. We can't always meet those deadlines. So don't make a deadline. Try to and wives out there, just be understanding that if we give a deadline, we can't predict the future. Is what I'm saying. And I'm sure I'm going to get in trouble for saying that line. Luckily, we have wives that are very forgiving, of course. We don't want to come on here on the show and make us sound like we are in a world of hurt or whatever. We love our wives, like we said. We just feel like it would be fun to share relatable stories. Another relatable story, other than giving the whole time frame things, should we dive into the holidays? That whole fun topic of juggling between going over to the in-laws, going over to the other in-laws, your parents, her parents. Have you had any fun?
So I've got a fun story. All right.
Okay.
So this goes back to the learning to understand the communication and understanding the depth. It was expressed to me, and it was a very stressful time at work at the time. And because for us, Christmas time gets a little slow, so that means it's more stressful. When things are just steady is the less stressful time,
Right.
But so I was getting close to Christmas, so things are coming down to the wire, so now more weight gets put on my shoulders and so forth with what I'm doing and so forth, and trying to manage everything and so forth. And so I was told that Christmas was going to be at the in-laws at this certain time, and that it was just a white elephant party or whatever. I didn't realize that was going to be the full-blown family Christmas gathering. I thought it was just a little get-together before Christmas, because it was like a week before Christmas. So I said, okay, well, I'll try and get off at this point. So, I'm trying to leave. Well, then I get interrupted. Hey, we need to have this discussion. Then we have to talk about this. Well, I'm, expressing I'm trying to go and so forth. Well, then you get the text, where are you? What's going on? Well, things are getting complicated and so forth. So then you finally get off work and so forth. So I get home, finally get showered, get cleaned up and so forth. The wife and the kids have already been there. They've already opened gifts.
And Daddy's nowhere to be found.
And Daddy's nowhere to be found.
Doesn't matter what you did all day.
They had just finished opening gifts by the time I was leaving.
You could have saved someone from a car.
So I was like,
doesn't matter.
I was like, okay, well, at least I could get there. We can have a little bit of pie and ice cream, and then be done. At least I got there for the last end part.
Some cranberry jam or whatever that's called.
There was some sort of communication breakdown. I would blame myself in that I was so focused on what was going on, especially with work and so forth, that
honest.
I didn't fully understand what was going on. And so
once again, the communication
key. I ended up going to the wrong house, all dressed up, ready to go.
Oh, no. You're knocking on the door.
Yep, go to the wrong house. I thought it was at the grandparents' house.
Did anybody answer at that house? Or
no, it was pitch black in that neighborhood.
Were you looking through the windows and stuff?
Well, I drove by and there's no cars. It's pitch black. I'm like, nobody's home.
Did they leave? Did they leave right as
like,
you?
Oh crap. Okay, it's at her parents' house.
Screech.
I drive by her parents' house. and the garage door is closing. There's nobody out there. Okay, what's going on? Then I look down on my phone. I've got a text. Where are you? We're all leaving now. Oh, that's one of those oh crap moments where you know you really just screwed the whole thing up.
You pooped the bed a little bit.
So,
pushing cotton.
You know what's funny is the first thing I thought of
To change your underwear?
No, was the show This Is Us. And what's his name? The main character, the dad.
Uh-huh.
Every time in that show, he royally screws up.
Right. Oh.
He does something totally out of the blue. Something that he doesn't normally do.
Okay, keep going.
And, I have learned how to romance my wife a little bit better since getting married and so forth. It's just, you get little increments.
Right. You level up slowly. It's
it's a very slow leveling up.
Yeah. No one's a hero at the beginning.
Oh yeah, heck no.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might think you're the hero till you get married. And so I'm like, oh crap. I'm like,
what do I got to do?
Where the heck was this? I have I'm totally confused.
Where's the light? You're so far in the hole.
I'm like, I need to do something drastic.
Uh-huh.
So I immediately drive to the closest Target I could find.
Nice.
That I knew had flowers and so forth. And, my wife had expressed that she didn't like flowers at first.
Uh-huh.
She's a little bit more lenient towards that kind of thing now. But got flowers, got, I forget what else I got. But anyways, I came back. I come walking in the door, and she's like, half her face is like ready to take me to the cleaners. Mm-hmm. The other half is just blown away that at
least you brought something. Holding.
Yeah, I didn't come back empty-handed and so forth. And so it was, and then she expressed that, it was at my sister's.
Oh. How'd you respond to that? Did you put it back on her, or were you just like
that was not clearly understood and so forth.
No one thought it was weird that you maybe did they think if you spend all that time getting flowers, were they not like, oh, the reason you're late is because you went and got flowers? Like, really?
Well, I went back home. She was already home. Everybody was home. The whole thing was done, and people were going to bed and so forth by the time I got.
Did you feel like weird? Like, what are the family thinking? Do they think I'm like?
Oh yeah. You think about that whole aspect of the whole thing, and you're like, oh man. And so then from that point, then it was a learning process of understanding how that side of the family function, because you can't keep your one-sided view from just the way your family operated and so forth. And so, you gotta connect with the other side and understand how they operate, even on an individual basis. Yep. And so that was huge and so forth. And you know what? In hindsight, I did not realize how valuable that was because of all the fields that the in-laws are in. The medical, law enforcement, shipping, all these crazy different fields and so forth that require a lot of time and erratic work schedules and so forth. So things were not, the chances of them being able to get together and all that stuff like that was very rare. And so I didn't understand the gravity of that situation. Now in hindsight, I understand. In hindsight, you understand a lot more things, but
you live and you learn, and you're alive. You're alive now because you didn't get beheaded for that.
So, what's your story?
I know. I was trying to think of a good one to top or meet that one. Your story. I mean, that one's pretty good. Oh man, I'm sure if we were asking her right now, she would tell me. I'm trying to think. So, meeting expectations or family get-together. I mean, it's always every year it's like, okay, well, if we're gonna spend Thanksgiving at your parents, then we get mine at Christmas, or Christmas is
it's usually how it goes.
It's a split day, or the next year it's like, okay, you were there on Thanksgiving. Luckily, this year we're doing Thanksgiving both families together. I believe. I believe that is the plan right now.
Oh, are you hosting?
No, we're going somewhere. I don't want to name just because, I'm sure we have 1,000 stalkers right now. But, so we're doing family together, which is great. It's great that both sides want to come together and do Thanksgiving. But Christmas is always, in the morning, one side, in the afternoon, the other side. So it really hasn't been that bad. I mean, there's been the casual, like, oh, we just got here, or it's we spent 3 hours last time at so and so's place. It's the memory the women have on the time frame is extraordinary. I mean, do you see that? I mean, there are days that I don't even remember. I mean, I don't even remember what I did most of the part of yesterday, but the women, man, they can know what you did a year from yesterday without even using Google Photos, or you know what I mean. And so you're never a step ahead of the game as far as that. And if you could just have that memory that the women have, you would be able to solve the Da Vinci Code or whatever. But anyway, so they're amazing for that aspect. I'm trying to think. Okay, I got one. So there was our honeymoon, and we went to Cancun. Beautiful time. We had, it was a 5-day, 6-day deal. We went to the pyramids, the Aztec pyramids, whatever. And there was like a flash flood going on. And, we always love the rain. We love getting out there and, for lack of a better word, getting wet. And because, we love the rain. So I had the great idea. This is one of those moments gone wrong where you think you're gonna be the hero, and it's all gonna work out. All of a sudden it starts flash flooding. Like you're gonna get your clothes soaked. So we all, like in the tourists, we all run into this tent, this little blue tarp that they had to sell goods and stuff. We're all under there. I have photos of it where there's us, and then there's like 50 people around us all in this little thing. Well, the rain starts to let up, and I'm like, we got to eventually get to our bus, and, the pyramids are right here. Let's go up close. So I had the idea of I'm like, we're going to go out there. But, I mean, at this point, there's just puddles on puddles out there. So I'm like, okay, well, there's a puddle in front of us. We could either go around it, or I can help pull her, like swing her over the puddle, because I made it. I jumped over. I made it. Now it's her turn. But, I'm a rookie at this point. Still am. I'm like, no, babe, you got it. Come on, you're going to make it. Keep in mind, there's 50 people here. The husband, though, doesn't realize that idea that there's people watching. He's just thinking to be a romantic and get out in the rain and want to show his new bride, and do some kissing next to the pyramids in the rain. That was my goal. But I go to pull her, convince her to jump, and she goes to jump, but the jump was a little inaccurate, or I didn't pull hard enough, and so she went right into the puddle and like started to slip and just soaked her pants. And everyone saw, but like no one said anything really. But it was because there was people watching, and then I failed as a husband to row her over, and she was a little embarrassed, even though she looked hot doing it. The point was, now that whole day just shot, everything leading up to that. Now here I am, the husband, to embarrass the wife, and she's soaked, she's wet, and crying, and doesn't want to take a picture. And so there goes the whole game plan. If you've ever done anything where you have a game plan, you have an idea of what it's going to look like getting up to that point. I'm going to do this and do that, and it backfires on you. So I had to do some major redemption on that. That was a turn of events on that one. I don't know if that was as good of a story as yours.
No,
but
yeah. You have to focus on making sure you it's the idea of the protector, it's not just physical protecting your wife from, or, you know, your kids or whoever from, say, a threat,
Right.
somebody who wants to cause harm. It's, you know, protecting them in thinking about what they have to do, thinking about, you know, like I think about, we had a family game, and there was a particular family member who absolutely loved playing this game, and they were just really tactful in everything that they did. But when things weren't going their way, they usually wanted to see if they could convince everybody to tweak the rules and so forth, because they saw an opportunity that if they could tweak it slightly, then they could, you know, do this and it might help their chances.
Right.
And, you know, and that person was kind of giving advice to my wife, and it really just irritated her. And so finally I got fed up, and I realized, because she had brought this up before, and she was like, I really don't want to play this game and so forth, you know, because I always get commented about this, you know, because, you know, my wife is much better at what's going on right in front of her.
Right.
You know, whereas I'm more about what's happening, you know, strategically, whereas she's more aware of things tactfully and so forth. And so it was quite funny, because, you know, she gets the comment, oh, you should do this and this and this, and I can see, you know, talking about the expression of, you can see it on her face and so forth, and I'm like,
just like, this person doesn't know.
I told him, stop. She's just fine. She's got more degrees than anybody else here. I think she's okay.
I think she's got it. You, on the other hand, need to just tone it down a little bit.
And so it was this disconnect, and then after that point, she was good. And, you know, it's defending, thinking about those kinds of things. You know, it's the
situation you are putting you and your wife in, and mainly focusing on her.
Mm-hmm.
And it no longer, when you get married, it's no longer about you. You got to always make sure you're putting your wife and your family in the best position possible. And if that means pulling her out to the rain where there's a bunch of puddles, you don't do it. If she says no, you listen to her as much as romantic as you want to be. And if you're gonna go over to friends that are a little bit hard to play with, and, you know, they may be your friends, but
they may not be her.
They may not be her friends. Then it may not be worth the conversation on the way home, or the frustration that gets taken out on you. Where I know for sure there's many cases where it's just not worth putting yourself in a situation or bringing up something.
I have to ask, so after that point of, you know, she slips and falls in the puddle and so forth, did you go, I'm an idiot, I should have just waded into the puddle?
No, I said the classic thing that I always say is like, oh, you're okay, you're fine. Oh, it was just a puddle or whatever. I do this thing where, like, if she gets hurt, or she does, or like I scare her, or like I do something that like hurts her, or like scares her, not like brutally hurting her, or like where there's charges, guys, calm down. But to the point where, like, if I scare her and she like freaks out and she's mad at me, I'll just be like, oh, it's okay, you were just scared, or oh, you're fine, you know. And then she hates that. And the reason I say that is because I know I upsetted her, and so I try to put it back on her. Like, oh, no, you're only mad because in the reality, it was my fault in the whole place.
Overcompensation.
Men like to do that.
We like to fix things.
We like to fix things and overcompensate for areas in all aspects of life. But yeah, I think this is a good point to leave off. We may do a part 2 to this. I think this is a good conversation. So we'll see what you guys think. Let us know in the comments if you have any situations we should talk about on the next one. We want to know. Isaac, this was a good conversation. I had a lot of fun with it. But we are way past our time on this one, and we don't want to get in trouble. Not saying that,
Not saying that they're in the back room.
not saying they're in the back room timing us on this one because, we get it.
They're probably watching. Yeah.
Yeah, they probably are. I don't want the audience to think that we are, like I said, I'll say it again. We love our wives with all our heart. Wouldn't change anything. We just love talking about some situations, and that happen very, very, very rarely. That's why we.
You want to help the young bucks?
Exactly. Just wanting to help out the young bucks, and we want to make sure you guys, marriage is a wonderful thing. It's a beautiful thing. You should always consider doing that. And there's fun memories you will have. Just know when you get married. So something to look forward to. Any closing remarks?
Being a protector is more than just physical.
Yeah, think about that as we close because there's some major truth to that. So, on that note, thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you guys on the next one. This was Anything at All with Zach and my special guest, Isaac. We will catch you all on the next.